Welcome back to the best division in football with your boys Awthentik and The Beard, the best television show not on TV. Going to be going over the Week 11 NFC East recap. We are gathered here today to pay respects to the team formerly known as the Washington Football Team, led by yours truly, my brother from another mother, the best co-host in the country that we're going to bring up here bright and early to talk about it, Mr. Beard himself, man. How's it going, my guy?
It's going okay. You know, unfortunately, my G-Unit bulletproof vest is still in the wash machine, so I couldn't wear that for today's show. But, you know, I've been so, like, in a rut. Like, I was speechless.
How bad of a week? Because, you know, it's like our teams were kind of like, you know, falling out of playoff contention, not really in the mix as far as the best division in football goes. I want to know this. How bad did this loss ruin the start to your week?
I mean, you know, I was holding on by a thread here for the playoffs. You know, like, you know how the Beard is.
You were still holding on to that?
I'm in it until I'm not. You know what I'm saying? But, no, it actually wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be perfectly honest with you. Because you know that from the beginning, when we were looking at the schedules, I was like, man, that Washington game might be your win right there. So I had an inkling, right? But that was kind of like, you know, far way back here. Okay,
yeah,
but
that was like almost like the default. Like,
yeah,
you
it was like
talk about it because it might
insurance
happen.
policy. You know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
But I didn't really think it was going to happen. And as the game was unraveling, like it was comical. It got to a point where it's comical.
It really was.
You know what I'm saying? So for me, like, it wasn't as bad. I still think this, for me personally, you know, the Seahawks game is still the worst loss of the season for me. Like, as watching the game, like, in the way that I felt, like, that was the worst loss.
Yeah.
But it was pretty bad. You know, it's just, I think I read somebody's tweet, and I think the best way of putting it is the Daniel Snyder selling the team high has worn off. Like, that's where we're at now. Like, that it's kind of like, okay, you know, like, you're going into the season like, yes, Daniel Snyder sold the team, and Sam Howell and
hype,
and
Eric
then like
enemy, all that good stuff.
Eric the enemy, and it's just like the crash happened so fast. So for me, it's just I mean, and you know what it's like because you're a Giants fan, and you know what Giants Twitter is like, right? So it's like. Washington, I think this is like this for every fan base. I don't know because I'm not in every fan base Twitter. Like, I got a lot of Giants, a lot of Eagles, a lot of NFC East Twitter on my timeline, right? But, like, it's bad right now. Like, people just don't even know who to blame and who not to blame. I noticed that talking with some homies. It's like, you know, so people are pointing fingers at people after this game that I feel like they're not really the ones that should be warranted to be pointed at. You know, I know a lot of people have been talking about Ron Rivera, Jack Del Rio being fired and whatnot, but you, as a coach, you cannot have your team secure the ball. That's on them, right? And 3 fumbles, 3 interceptions. Obviously, the coaches can't do too much about that. I thought the game plan wasn't too bad, but you know, Washington just really couldn't put the nail in the coffin on the Giants. It was wild, and obviously we're gonna get into the game, but yeah, it was like just it was crushing but comical, you know, like one of those things, and then obviously like. You know, just watch.
Dark humor, as I put it last week for my New York Giants.
Great way of putting it. And it's just, you know, good for you guys. Kudos to the Giants fans. And I thought, you know, you're watching Awthentik's Twitter after a game like that. It's like the tweet where you're like talking about the people who are mad and the people that are happy, like retweeting the one tweet. Day, It's just like it kind of like puts everything into a bundle. And then obviously, you know, the Dallas game was kind of interesting, and we're going to talk about that. And then last night's game went exactly how I thought it was going to go, you know, and so it was.
I think both of us lucked up on the Eagles game with the weather. Yeah. Because I think if we'll get to that game, but like I just think that if that game was in a better weather situation, you would have had better quarterback play from both sides, you know.
Absolutely. And then, you know, obviously you had some more injuries. I don't know if you saw the Tom Brady clip going around. I thought that was an interesting clip as far as, you know, NFL stuff. And then Shaq Leonard getting released today. Unfortunately,
that was really
we're
interesting.
7th in the waiver, so I don't think that he's going to fall to us
he's owed a lot of money, too. So, you know, it might be a blessing in disguise if you don't bring him in because I think he's owed like $10 million for the next couple of years.
So yeah, it's gonna be an interesting unfolding of the rest of the season. It's crazy because Detroit's up there, and then like that the AFC Central or whatever they're calling it these days, the North.
You love calling it the Central.
And then now, like, you kind of have these teams we're talking draft too now at this point. You got some teams at the top of the draft that they're gonna have to make some tough decisions as far as the quarterback position goes, and I just think there's a lot going on in the season right now where you just don't have a definitive team.
Ooh, we're gonna get to that. We are. Yeah,
we're gonna get to that.
So I do think there are a few definitive teams.
There are, but still, even those definitive teams haven't played their best football. That's something I want to talk about. I can't wait
to talk about this first matchup because I'm definitely
big
gonna break
shout
that down.
out to everybody in the chat. Big shout out to our guy Keith Finch's Sport Flips, who sponsors our giveaways. We did it. He did it. He got to 1,000 subs on YouTube. Big shout out to that guy right there. Appreciate it. Big shout out to everybody who's watching us across all the platforms. That's Twitch, Twitter, Facebook, and of course right here on YouTube.
Now, before we get off into this first game with the Philadelphia Eagles taking on the Kansas City Chiefs, I just got one quick question for you. Did it surprise you that Ron Rivera did not get fired?
No.
Okay.
No. Because you can't fire the guy 4 days before the next game. You know what I'm saying? And then I'm like, well, if fans really want to keep losing for a draft pick, the best thing to do is to keep Ron Rivera. I just want to make sure everybody knows. I'm on record of saying that this Ron Rivera was done before the season even started. He's done. We all know it. So
we say a lot of stuff on this show. All right, let's get right to it. Matter of fact, let me buffer something here real quick because there's we're missing one graphic. StreamYard must have just removed it or something by accident. Let me just make sure I got that uploaded. All right,
go ahead. You're good.
Yeah.
I was just going to say big shout out to Coach Taylor. I saw you in the chat earlier. We did see your comments, and we do care, and we hope we're sending the best for you.
Did Jameson ask if we cared?
Yes.
Come on, JMO. You know we care, buddy, man. Good to see JMO in the building. Big victory for your Cowboys. We're going to get to that game. That's going to be the third one. Giants fans, Commanders fans, y'all hang tight. We're going to talk about this Eagles game versus the Chiefs last night. All right, man, the Philadelphia Eagles are now sitting at 9-1. The Kansas City Chiefs fall to 7-3. They beat the Chiefs 21-17. The Eagles finally got their Super Bowl revenge, long and awaited. Jason Kelce finally beat his younger brother, Travis Kelce, in a game. Mr. Andy Reid himself, the head coach for the Kansas City Chiefs, former coach for the Philadelphia Eagles, was 4-0 versus those Philadelphia Eagles since traveling to Kansas City and becoming their head coach. He got his first loss now. The Eagles now have 13 straight regular season wins over teams with a winning record. It is a stark difference from what we're seeing from those Dallas Cowboys, who Stephen A. Smith said they have had 3 weeks of a bye. It's the longest bye in NFL history. And then he said they have a fourth bye coming up against your Washington Commanders. I thought that was a shot.
I don't want to even think about it.
Yeah, that's going to be an interesting one. Stan texted me earlier, and Stan said y'all might play them well. But the Chiefs led this game at the half, 17-7. They were shut out in the second half of this game. This was the most watched Monday Night Football game ever. The Chiefs now have the lowest points per second half of any team in the NFL. Did you see this stat running around yet?
Mm-hmm.
Did you see the number? 5.5 points per game in the second half for the Kansas City Chiefs right now. Now, the Chiefs defense was extremely good in this game. They held the number 3 scoring offense in the NFL to just 238 total yards. The Eagles were 3 for 11 on third down. The Eagles punted the ball a season high 7 times in this game. And the Chiefs held the Eagles to just 21 points. That's the Eagles' second lowest output of the season. You talked about some self-inflicted wounds a couple of shows back, and I think this game was a perfect definition of that. The self-inflicted wounds for the Kansas City Chiefs cost them a victory in this game, if you ask me. They had 2 red zone giveaways, a critical Travis Kelce fumble in the red zone, up 17-14 to push that to a 2-score lead. And then you had Marquez Valdez-Scantling with the biggest drop we've seen since the 4 o'clock games when Quentin Johnston dropped when Quentin Johnston dropped that one from Justin Herbert to win the game. That's 2, we'll say top 10, not to start no shit with nobody. Top 10 quarterbacks in the NFL losing games on big drops from wide receivers who really are getting paid to make those kind of catches. And you can't forget about the Kansas City Chiefs, 7 penalties on the day. The Eagles made some plays late in this game, and I noticed that with the weather, the way that they were trying to move their offense in the second half is something that I have not seen from the Philadelphia Eagles all year long. They even ran back-to-back bubble screens on one of those key possessions. They ended up getting a first down by penalty and ended up scoring on that drive with 8:56 left in the fourth quarter. Jalen Hurts led them to a 7-play drive for 80 yards, and he ended up scoring the go-ahead touchdown. And the Chiefs just could not score from that point on. You had DeMarquez Valdez-Scantling drop, and then the Chiefs turned it over on fourth down on another drop. The kid, Justin Watson, had 2 major drops. He had a chance to pin the ball on special teams down inside the Philadelphia Eagles, like 2-yard line. He ends up completely whiffing on it and dropped the ball. This was a game, and this is why I say it's revenge. The Chiefs won this game in every statistical category just about. And it reminds me of how the Eagles played them in the Super Bowl. Outside of the Jalen Hurts fumble in the Super Bowl, the Eagles really dominated that game. You can't forget that Patrick Mahomes in the second half, he had no passes that went over 10 yards, past the 6. They were just dinking and dunking their way to a victory. And the Eagles outgained them and pretty much just handled the Kansas City Chiefs in that game and just did not come away with the victory. Now, the Chiefs won in the following statistical categories: first downs, third downs. I talked about the Eagles' third down. They only had 3 conversions on third down. The Chiefs were 8 of 17. They outgained them in yards. They had more total plays. They had more passing yards, more rushing attempts. They won the time of possession. It was literally the turnovers, the drops, and the red zone, efficiency that cost them this game. Now, I did see Colin Cowherd talking about this on his show. When and shout out to Bass, my homie Bass is the one that was telling me about the 5.5 points per game. I damn near could not believe it, right? Because the Chiefs are a good team. And, when I hear a statistic that's like that wild, I start trying to go into a deep dive and figure out, like, maybe there's an explanation for this, right? I was thinking maybe it could be because the Chiefs are leading games in the first half. I mean, they are a team that was 7-2 coming into this game. I thought that might be the case. And that's really not it. They've played a bunch of close games this year. Now, I was watching the herd earlier today. The Chiefs in the first half this year, points per game, they're second. Total touchdowns, they're third. Yards per game, they're second. Yards per play, they're second. When you go to the second half, their points per game is dead last in the NFL at 5.5, as I explained. Their total touchdowns in the second half are dead last as well. Their yards per game in the second half are 26th, and their yards per play are 28th. To me, this is a team that is lacking identity, especially when Travis Kelce is not the identity. They remind me a lot of the Buffalo Bills, right? The Buffalo Bills rely on 2 players on their offense to make the majority of the plays, being Josh Allen and be it Stephon Diggs. And really, when you're shutting down a guy like Travis Kelce, double teaming him, and he's having a tough day in the rain. He had a couple of drops himself. There was that third down little out route that he ran. It was I remember Mike Vick was on the Manning cast while that was happening, and he literally called it. He was like, this is going to be the play. They ran it. Travis Kelce ends up dropping it. So I think that the weather definitely played a toll on both of these quarterbacks and both of these passing attacks as well. Jalen Hurts only 14 of 22 on the day for 150 yards, no passing touchdowns, 1 interception. He had 12 rushes for 29 yards, 2 rushing touchdowns. He only had 1 rushing attempt in the first half, so 11 of his 12 came in the second half. Patrick Mahomes was 24-43 for 177 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. He had 6 rushes for 38 yards. And Patrick Mahomes is out there playing magician, man. He's out there making plays. I know you saw the play where they had the roughing the passer that was very controversial. A lot of people were looking at that play. Just the throw on that play. I mean, just to be able to avoid pressure, pocket presence, maneuver, and be able to jump past the ball and hit Kelce right across the middle on a great throw. I think Patrick Mahomes is doing everything he could possibly do in this game. And I see, in the Giants community, a lot of people like to try to compare what's going on with Patrick Mahomes because they know he doesn't have great wide receivers. So they'll be like, oh, even Patrick Mahomes has, he needs wide receivers to be elite and whatnot. But still, Patrick Mahomes, to me, did everything he could do in this game. The yardage was not that great. The ground game for both of the teams in this game was pretty good. DeAndre Swift, 12 for 76. Pacheco had 19 for 89.
Possessed.
He always does. That dude behind me and running through the ropes and whatnot.
I love the way he runs. Swift looked fantastic too.
I think he's overexerting himself, though. I think he runs a little bit too tough. Like, for 89 yards on 19 carries, man, that's really not that good. Those look kind of like Tony Pollard numbers this year. We're going to get to that as well. But I think the ground game was just good enough. And I want to just end that segment before I pass it off to you with saying this, the Eagles, and I know you were thinking about this team when we were talking in the beginning of this episode, and you said there isn't really a team out there who's definitively like a real team. I think the Eagles' identity now in 2023 is winning ugly. That is the identity of the Eagles. And Jalen Hurts said this. He said, we showed up when it mattered the most. It was a complete team effort. We found a way. We're winning games, and we have yet to play our best ball. So when you see a team, they're sitting here at 9-1, and they have not played their best ball, it reminds me of what I've been saying about the Dallas Cowboys the whole entire year. You want to be peaking when you get into those cold months. When you get to December and January, you should be playing your best football.
Yeah, and listening to him say that at the end of the game is literally how I think about the Eagles. Every time we do an Eagles recap, it's like, you know, they won the game. They didn't look like the Eagles like powerhouse, but there's always somebody that steps up and makes plays. And I also thought that the Eagles offense looks a little different, obviously, without Dallas Goedert. They were running formations that they had never run all year long without Dallas Goedert in there. So it's going to be interesting to see how they move forward with that. You might see a lot more of Julio Jones kind of playing some Dallas Goedert style roles, like when Goedert is outside, not necessarily inside. But, man, they just had like a little brief still, right? And they didn't say anything about it on the broadcast, but I noticed it. Julio Jones and A.J. Brown next to each other on the line of scrimmage is like, geez, like just two monsters.
Oh, yeah, physical specimens for sure.
Devonta Smith, though, that catch,
beautiful.
Fantastic job. Fantastic
and Jalen Hurts needs to get more credit for the deep pass. He's one of the best deep ball throwers in the league. I don't even need numbers to support that. I just need two eyeballs.
I 1,000% concur with you on that. And then just to kind of go back on some of the things, I thought the Travis Kelce turnover was the biggest play of the game.
For sure.
Because they were like, I want to say they were on like the 25 or 27 yard line, like, and already up at that point.
I feel like they were closer than that.
That's just a brutal turnover for them. Yeah. And especially in a game like yesterday where like it's just everything is kind of grinded out tough. DeAndre Swift, I just, you know, I'm a big DeAndre Swift guy. I just thought some of the cuts and moves and vision that he has looks fantastic. I thought Kevin Byard stepped up big in this game after like kind of, had the blown coverage on the touchdown pass. So I thought that he kind of came back with that interception because that was not an easy interception that he had. I thought that was a big play. Mahomes only 177 passing yards. Kansas City went into this game 5th in the NFL in passing offense and yards per game at 264. Philadelphia was giving up the 5th most passing yards. So, I mean, obviously, weather had an impact on those numbers, but still, I thought, Philadelphia did a good job at, taking care of business as far as defending the pass against the Kansas City Chiefs. And then obviously the drops are a big issue with those numbers. I mean, that number changed drastically if Valdez-Scantling comes away with that catch. I mean, not even just the numbers, the score.
Even the fourth down one to Justin
Watson. Yeah.
I mean, they got backed up after the intentional grounding called on Patrick Mahomes. I want to say it was like 4th and 19. A beautiful route. I thought Patrick Mahomes was a little bit late with the ball, and he realized that he tried to put a little steam on the pass, but ultimately that ball goes right through his hands. I mean, you just want to see a better effort on the catch there, not let the ball go right through your hands. And then he also had the 3rd down on the previous drive before that, Justin Watson did, where he ran like a little in kind of breaker route, kind of like a slant, and he had a little bit of pressure coming from his front side, and you could tell he kind of alligator armed the ball and just didn't make the catch either.
And he ended up being their leading receiver in this game.
Yeah.
Kadarius Toney looked good.
He had a little post corner.
Kadarius Toney looked pretty good on some plays,
He had the 1 punt return I liked, but outside of that, what was he like? 2 receptions, maybe like.
They got him involved early, and then you just didn't see him the rest of the game. You didn't see Rice a lot either in this game, which I thought, he was gonna. I thought this would be a good opportunity for him against this matchup. Another thing that you talked about, which I thought was a big difference, and I think this is going to be a big difference in every team that plays Philadelphia, is the red zone. Philadelphia is just so damn good in the red zone. You have to, when you're going up against a team like the Eagles, you have to match them in everything almost, right? Or that's the way that you stay in the game or you beat them, because they'll always find a way to one-up you in one thing that can be the difference between winning and losing. And the red zone just seems to be one of the biggest things. It's like it's almost automatic. It feels like a lot of times when they get in there, especially when they're you get down to tush push
easy
territory. It's just it doesn't even look like it's gonna work. And then like all of a sudden he's 5 yards into the end zone and he ties the record for most games with 2 rushing touchdowns by a quarterback in NFL history with this game. You know who's tied with?
2 rushing touchdowns in a game. I guess Cam Newton.
go. It's like a reverse role right there. I never get to do that.
I remember the stat that he was, for most rushing touchdowns in his first 3 or 4 seasons, it was breaking Cam's record. So I figured it had to be Cam.
Yeah. And so it's just, there was a lot of battling going on in this game. And I will go back to the beginning when we talked about what Jalen Hurts said post-game interview on the field. They're 9-1. They haven't even played close to their best football yet.
Yeah.
It's going to be interesting to see how much longer, that's can be able to continue and then win games, or at what point does it just click into a different level? And next thing you know, you're seeing this Philadelphia powerhouse that we all thought they were going into this season. And I mean,
I really think they're still that. I mean,
they're the best team in the
victories.
NFL, in my opinion.
I think they're up there. I definitely think they're up there. But 13 straight victories against teams with winning records, and like you said, they're not playing their best ball. That's crazy.
Yeah,
so that's really crazy. So,
and it's going to be interesting to see where Kansas City goes from here too.
Because Kansas City's used to this. They get a loss like this every year, and people go into panic mode and go, I heard people saying, they're not my top 5. Shannon Sharp was one of them. I don't got the Chiefs in my top 5 teams right now. And like everyone goes through this because you're waiting.
You have to. You're a top 5 team with Patrick Mahomes.
Yeah, I mean, but if you keep continuing to struggle like this, Patrick Mahomes having the same amount of interceptions as your boy coming into this game.
Yeah, and
I understand the worry, right? I do understand the worry, but doubt it when it happens is my thing. Like people always want to be like so ahead of the curve and be like, I saw him falling off a cliff.
Hot take.
This guy's
Hot take.
It's like, screw that, man. Like right now, you just saw the 2 former Super Bowl teams from last year playing a game that looked like 2 teams that are going to be in the damn Super Bowl. That's what that looked like to me. So, and what I was going to say too is I like how the Philadelphia Eagles find a way when it's not A.J. Brown, it's Devonta Smith. Yep. Late in this game, Devonta Smith turned it on with 2 huge catches on the exact same drive. I thought the deep shot was a pinch underthrown, but there was a little bit of pressure up the pike there. Still a great throw from Jalen Hurts. I don't think nobody throws the fade ball better than Jalen Hurts in the league right now. It's like when I'm watching the broadcast, camera where you can't see down the field, you can only really go off the confidence of the quarterback. I remember this with Eli a lot. Like when Eli would drop back, hit the back foot and let that thing go, I'm like, I know this is about to get caught just by the demeanor of the quarterback. And I'm starting to feel the same way with Jalen Hurts. Like when he loads up the fade route, it's like this about to get caught. Like it's so rare that you see him hit the back foot, have enough time, let go of the fade ball, and it's not A.J. Brown or Devonta Smith coming down with the catch. So they're going to be a tough team to stop in the playoffs right now. We saw the San Francisco 49ers kind of go through their little bit of woes, I'd say, with the 3-game losing streak and whatnot. The Dallas Cowboys are kind of like iffy up and down, playing some really good football as of late, and we're going to get to that. But the opposition is not that great. They've only played 1 team that has a winning record in their last 5 games. So it's been, I just think that the Philadelphia Eagles are probably the most consistent team in the NFL right now. We've seen them go up against some teams with high-powered offenses, great quarterbacks, and they still find a way to come away with victories. That Jets game is really the only blemish on their whole entire schedule. And it's weird because the Dallas Cowboys handled the New York Jets, whereas the Philadelphia Eagles kind of struggled against them. But, teams have those little setbacks like that. We saw the Dallas Cowboys have that game against the Arizona Cardinals this year.
Big shout-out to our guy, Independent Outsider with a $5 super chat. Says, to Giants Tank Twitter, remember, Mahomes drafted 10, Jalen Hurts drafted at 53. Not saying it's there this year, but let Shane do his thing.
Yeah, I mean, that's a really good point there, I think. The second round one, I'm not as confident in. Tell me another quarterback like Jalen Hurts that got drafted in the second round. Give me another one right now. Anybody?
Cousins?
4th rounder.
Russell Wilson?
6th rounder. Give me a second round. Let me tell you why second round quarterbacks coming out of college are such like a difficult position to address is because they're not the top guys, but they're also not the Brock Purdy's and the guys you just named, the Kirk Cousins, the Russell Wilsons, and all those guys. People don't really draft quarterbacks like that in the second round.
Yeah, your fringe guys. It's kind of interesting. I'd like to that'd be something I kind of like to dig into. I wonder.
I told somebody on Twitter I was going. Sometimes I just don't like the way people be trying to come at me on Twitter. Right? Like I've made the graphic already that shows you every first round quarterback drafted since 2011. Your percentage of hitting on a first round quarterback within that range is 36.8%. that you will get a franchise quarterback. And I post that, and some dude pulls up, and he's like, now do second round. And it's like, my dude, I ain't your damn secretary, my guy. Like, all right, I want to do it, but like now that you came at me all crazy, I don't want to do that.
I completely understand that.
Yeah, it's like, man, people just like social media, man. You just get people have a bad day, or in this instance today, I'm talking to somebody on social media. It's like you tweeting out shit when you're drunk as hell, and then when you got to reap what you sow the next day, you like have an attitude about it. Like, bro, I didn't tell you to go out here, take shots at the bar, and then hop on Twitter. Like, bro, like have some accountability, man. That's how I look at it. But in reference to this game, man, I think the better team won. Me and you both on Thursday's preview show, we both picked the Philadelphia Eagles. I didn't think that the Kansas City Chiefs were going to dominate across the board as far as like statistics. I did not think it was going to be that type of game. I thought Jalen Hurts was going to be the best player on the field, and I don't think that was the case in this game like it was in the Super Bowl where Jalen Hurts was the best player on the field.
Yeah, and obviously weather had a lot to do with this game, but I think that that's kind of, sometimes the old school football gods want two powerhouses playing in bad weather, and that's kind of how football should be every once in a while. It shouldn't always be, turf and 50-point games and, bombs and all that good stuff. Sometimes you need a little, bad weather.
I hear you, man. But like, that's the exciting stuff that puts the seats in the stands, man. Like the good old pass attack, man. But I was glad to see that in our game, man. You ready to talk about this slaughterhouse of a victory for my New York Giants?
Let's get it over with.
Let's do it.
On the board with 11:16 to go here in the third.
Didn't know how to feel about this one. I got to keep it funky with you, man. I went to the stadium kind of expecting a loss, man. My New York Giants, Danny DeVito Dimes out here doing his thing, man. Came to play, man. He definitely came to play against this terrible Washington defense, man. I don't know what's going on with you guys, but the New York Giants improved to 3-8. Commanders fall to 4-7. Giants beat them 31-19. I can't even believe we scored 30 points on y'all. There have been 9 different rookie quarterbacks to start and win a game this season. It's the most since the Super Bowl era began. And my man, Danny Dimes, the new Danny DeVito Dimes, he's out here, man. He's one of those quarterbacks. This season, I love this statistic right here, man. This goes to talk about how much that identity I've been preaching on this damn show. The Giants are 3-0 when Saquon Barkley scores a touchdown. Guess what their record is when he doesn't?
0 and everything lost.
0 and everything in the world. Yes, known to man. 0-8 when he does not score a touchdown. The Giants improved to 3-8. Giants improved to 2-2 in the division, man. If we could win some games outside the division, we would be all right. This one completes the sweep of the Commanders, man. Y'all been struggling against us in the whole Danny Dimes era, Danny Jones and Danny DeVito. Like, y'all have been struggling. Y'all got 1 win, 1 tie against us during that whole tenure. It was 14-9 at the half. The Giants, 31 points, tied their season high, which we scored 31 against the Arizona Cardinals as well. 12-point victory. That's the second highest in the Dable era. 6 takeaways in this game, the most for the Giants since 2014. Giants scored a first quarter touchdown in this game, man. It's like the Giants and the gods for football knew that I was in the stands, and they were like, Authentic, we are going to bless you today.
Oh, man.
We are going to give you good graces and give you a W for the team that you have been rooting for since 1989. And that's exactly what they did. The Giants scored 9 first quarter points in their first 10 games, all on field goals, and finally got a touchdown in the first quarter against those Washington Commanders. Now, got to pull up my guy's stats, right? Because, we give the flowers over here in the form of statistics. My man Tommy DeVito over here flexing. This man went 18-26, 246 passing yards, quarterback rating of 137.7, 3 whole damn touchdowns, and not 1 interception on the day. I almost don't even remember a turnover-worthy play from Tommy DeVito in this game. DeVito became the first undrafted free agent quarterback to throw for 200 or more yards with 3 touchdowns and no interceptions, man. Making history out here against those Commanders. 39 regular season starts without a back-to-back performance with multiple passing touchdowns for ours truly, Mr. Daniel Jones himself. Tommy DeVito comes out here in his first 2 starts, puts up back-to-back performances with multiple passing touchdowns. And that's not it, y'all. That is not it, okay? This man, Tommy DeVito, went 0 consecutive starts without not throwing 3 touchdowns. Daniel Jones has had 48 consecutive straight regular season games without a 3-touchdown performance through the air. Now, I got to talk about some of the bad with Tommy DeVito, and it wasn't that much. He was sacked 9 times in this game, okay? That's not a good look. Kind of reminds me of Joe Burrow in the playoffs a little bit. This quarterback definitely holds on to the ball a little bit too long, and I think he's out there trying to play a little bit of hero ball because he knows his days as the New York Giants quarterback are very limited. But this is the first victory in Giants history ever where the quarterback was sacked at least 9 times. So Tommy DeVito is on the right side of history. He had 7 passes of 15 yards or more, and he's the first Giants quarterback with at least 5 in his first 2 NFL starts since 1950. When I say 5, I'm talking about 5 tutties for my guy one time, okay? Speaking of the Chiefs, who won in almost every statistical category and probably should have won that game against the Philadelphia Eagles, the Washington Commanders won in almost every statistical category against the New York Giants on Sunday. First downs, total plays, total yards, total drives, passing yards, rushing yards, red zone percentage, penalties, time of possession. The Giants punted the ball 8 times in that game. The difference was 6 turnovers. And I was telling the people on the Giant Overreaction, shout out to all y'all who tuned in, that when I was in the stadium, I swear to you, like every fumble looked like the Washington Commanders player's knee was down. Logan Thomas, first one, I was like, man, everyone who was sitting around me, I was surrounded by a bunch of Commanders fans. They're like, oh, yeah, that's going to turn it over. That's coming back. You know, we're going to overturn the call. Bring it back. Bring it back. They're turning. They're looking at me. They're giving me faces. I had some old ladies in front of me. They did not like me cheering too much during this game. I wasn't even being that crazy. You know me. I can be very crazy when the alcohol's flowing. I was super chill this game, being very responsible out there. You know, sitting next to Nick Gates' mom, for those of y'all that didn't tune into the Giant Overreaction. She was great, just a great hospitality from Nick Gates, from Mrs. Gates, I'll say, okay? She had a little baby, I guess it was her grandbaby on her, you know, the whole entire game. Got to chop it up with her about Nick Gates a good bit, right? But the 6 turnovers, the Nick McLeod interception, the Logan Thomas fumble, the Byron Pringle fumble on the kickoff, the Chris Rodriguez fumble, who my man Ben Ball, you've been hyping up Chris Rodriguez all damn year. I'm just like, dude looks like he's a lot shorter than 5. He's listed at 5'10 or something, 5'11. I saw him on the field. He's not 5'11. He's probably about a good 5'7. He had a fumble. Darnay Holmes had an interception. And then to close out the game, Isaiah Simmons, man. And as soon as Isaiah Simmons catches the interception, I'm in the same seats we normally sit in. I was just over to the right just a little bit in 109. He catches the interception on my side of the field. He's running right at me. I had the camera out. I was filming the beginning of the play, and I was like, this is one I need to enjoy with both of my real eyeballs. Forget the camera. I put the camera down, watched Isaiah Simmons run right into our end zone, the whole team flock on the field, go and celebrate with them, and that was the game. No matter what happens in the statistical categories, this goes for just about any team. You cannot win a game if you turn the ball over 6 times. I would love to dig into some of these statistics to see if there's ever been an NFL team that has won a game with 6 turnovers, and I highly doubt it. 5 of the 6 turnovers happened while it was a 1-score game. You cannot have those type of things happening, and the Giants had a clean day. They didn't turn the ball over once. I just want to send a special shout-out to a guy who, when he was scrutinized and underneath the microscope, this dude went out here, and he definitely performed. And that's what I like to see. I like to see players that when they get the pressure cooking, they go out there and perform. Darius Slayton, bro, I'm so far at times, you know, because I'm sitting in one end zone, and sometimes the plays are happening down on the other side of the field. And you can just tell it's Darius Slayton. That dude, when he catches the ball, he is literally like, he looks like a defensive end trying to beat a left tackle to the outside, and is almost like getting horizontal like a motorcycle, trying to bend the corner. That man, Darius Slayton, man, I got to give that dude his props. I don't think Darius Slayton is a number 1 wide receiver in this league, but I definitely think that he's a guy that if you were to surround him, and let's say he was the, you know, 2nd or 3rd, like if we had an A.J. Brown and he could try to play the Devonta Smith role, he wouldn't be as good as a Devonta Smith, obviously. But I think he's much better suited playing that role. Instead, you got a bunch of guys that are just B wide receivers out here, which I think doesn't yield well for a guy like Darius Slayton, who, if he had an alpha wide receiver 1, maybe a DeAndre Hopkins, maybe New York Giants, he could have been a guy that would have had a lot of attention taken off of him, and he would be able to get some of these deep shots that we've been accustomed to seeing him get, even when he had a guy like Golden Tate on the roster. So for me, man, I love the performance from the New York Giants. I thought it was a surprise performance, too, because I did not expect us, 1, to go out here and play clean football, and 2, to see us get sacked 9 times in a game and still our offense did not look pathetic with a third-string practice squad, undrafted, free agent, rookie quarterback out there in Danny DeVito Dimes. And last but not least, this is the first time that we've had consecutive games with the same offensive line unit. And I heard people out there like, yo, let me just make this as blatantly and as blunt as possible. I'm going to have to go full screen on this one, Beard.
Oh, do that. I'm going to go get something.
You guys who are hanging on by a thread to any narrative that supports Daniel Jones being the quarterback for the New York Giants moving forward, you got to give it up. I see people trying to use Patrick Mahomes as an example. I see people trying to use Justin Herbert as an example. And Justin Herbert just set some history that was ridiculous for the most passing yards, third most passing yards of any quarterback during the amount of games that he's played so far this season. If you want to support Daniel Jones, just say, I have faith in Daniel Jones as the franchise quarterback moving forward. You don't got to try to tiptoe around narratives and do all this stuff that's ultimately just going to make you look extremely goofy in the long run. If the New York Giants do not go out here in this offseason and draft a damn quarterback, the microscope that I was just talking about that was on Darius Slayton, there's going to be a telescope on Joe Shane going into the next offseason. Just had to put that out there.
Okay. All right. Shout out to Chris Peace. Okay. I see you in the chat. He was asking and asking and asking. I will present the shirt. Are you a man of your word? I will present the shirt. Okay. I should wear this shirt.
Wait, hold on. We listen, okay?
Do I have to wear it?
If you're not going to wear it, don't do it. Because look, I was looking at my homie, my good homie, shout out to him. My guy, Sneaky G, does a podcast damn near every week, New York Giants stuff. He's a great New York Giants fan, lives in Dallas, goes to every game that he watches the New York Giants in Jerry World. That's where he watches the games. He was in like a lids store or something randomly a couple of weeks back. Can't remember the Dallas Cowboys player. I believe it's a secondary player. He bumps into him. He's like, yo, what's up, man? I'm Sneaky G. I'm a Giants fan, man. Look, are you willing to make a bet with me? If the New York Giants beat the Dallas Cowboys, you got to wear a New York Giants hat all week. The Dallas Cowboys football player who will remain nameless said to him, all day. I mean, it's against the New York Giants. Daniel Jones already heard at this point it's against the Giants, right? He's like, totally. But look, if the Cowboys win, I'm going to buy you a hat, and you got to wear it all week. Sneaky G, I kind of got to throw some shade his way on this one. He didn't wear a Cowboys hat because the player didn't go buy it for him.
Well, I'm not mad at that. Well, also, we didn't make a bet, but you know what? Go full screen. I will do this for the people. You go full screen on you, not on me. I got to put it on.
On me.
I don't think they want to watch the Beard do this.
Shout out to Chris Peace, man, because I got into a little bit of a jam at the game, messing around with some drunk-ass friends, right? And ended up taking my bag with them in their car that had my car keys in the bag and a bunch of other stuff that I needed. And Chris Peace and his wife hung out with me at the stadium, let me charge my phone in their car, were willing to even drive me. My drunk friends drove in the wrong direction away from the stadium. So instead of going back towards Maryland more, they went into VA more. So they were like an hour in VA. They even offered to drive me out there an hour away, then an hour back to the stadium, and then to take me home, which we didn't end up having to do because I ended up calling an Uber to bring the bag back and whatnot. But Chris Peace held me down, gave me a couple of brews. We chilled. We talked a lot of Giants football. And he mentioned this shirt that you're about to see the Beard in here in a second. Because Chris Peace gave the Beard this shirt. I want to say it was at last year's tailgate, I believe it was.
Preseason.
Last year. Oh, it was this year's preseason game. That's right. And I kind of remember a bet a little bit or some kind of stipulation, but I'm glad that the Beard is living up to his word. Because what I didn't like is that he said, oh, I'm not mad at that. He didn't buy him the hat. He doesn't have to wear a hat. All the Cowboys fans that was going after Sneaky G was like, I'll give you a Cowboys hat. So without further ado, goddamn, I can't believe that we actually beat y'all. And this is actually happening. So the Beard has a special shirt. Shout out to Chris Peace one time. Show the people out there. Tell them what I'll read the shirt for him. It says, I may be a Commanders fan, but I support the Giants. And with the nice little Awthentik and The Beard, nice little tagline down at the bottom. Big shout out to my guy, Chris Peace, man. We got to have some fun over here. And shout out to the Beard for actually honoring the stipulations of the situation. Look, I did. What was the fight promoter for Mike Tyson? Don King. That was a Don King type joint right there. So you gonna rock it for the rest of the show?
Yeah, we'll have some fun here, you know.
I like it. I wasn't trying to, your man, Waterfly. Yeah, it was Waterfly, right? I think it was Waterfly. Hit me up in the DM on Instagram, and he was like, "Take it easy, man, on the Beard." So I, didn't have to. I had some nuggets and some fries actually for dinner today, but didn't come with too many nuggets, not too many shots. You know what I'm saying? I had the clip ready, but I was gonna take it easy on you. I'm fine with just basking in the sun of the victory that my New York Giants got over the past weekend. But it's good to see you, man. You definitely have some integrity, as my man Albert B says in the chat. Big shout out, Albert, one time. So we haven't even got a chance to talk about the game with you.
Yeah. Let's talk some.
The numbers just went up crazy as soon as you put that shirt on.
Words out on the interwebs already.
Facts, yo.
I mean, listen. This is. I don't understand how this all happened. The thing that's crazy is that we were gonna win the game. First of all, I want to address the Sam Howell slander. Okay. Oh yeah. Sam Howell didn't have a great game by any means, right?
That boy had a horrible game.
Borderline. It was not a good game. Okay, I don't know about a horrible game.
Dad said, "Pan the camera down so we can see the rest of the shirt."
There you go, right there.
I got to hold the collar back on him.
So, just the 3 picks with Sam Howell. First one,
good advice. This is
not a good decision per se. But De'Ami Brown gets tripped up and, interception.
Is that the Nick McLeod one?
That's the first one. I don't think that was
Was that the deep shot?
That was both of them were 2 of the 3 interceptions were deep shots.
I'm trying to remember I think the first one was the Nick McLeod one.
Yeah, so that
was a bad throw, bro. That was a bad throw.
Well, De'Ami Brown fell.
Yeah, but he was going to the inside, and the ball was on the outside shoulder.
It was a bad decision. I don't know if it was a bad throw.
Listen, I'll disagree with you on the bad decision, but I'm going to let you go, right?
Yeah.
He's open. He had to step on him. I thought it was a great decision. One-on-one coverage. Listen, one-on-one coverage on a post route, bro.
Well, there was double coverage on that throw.
Not on the Nick McLeod one. The defenders in the front of him. He got behind the defense.
Yeah, that might have been.
That one happened right in my end zone.
That might have been
the one's the first
second
one. You might
one.
be talking about the second one.
The first one was the De'Ami Brown one. It was like right in the beginning of the game. And it was in a double coverage, and he got his feet clipped, and he fell, okay?
Okay, I'm going to let you make up these excuses.
Now, the second one, okay, was basically a punt. It was 3rd and 10. You took a long shot down the field. It was basically a punt, right? Not like game-changing or anything. And the last one, which everybody was like, oh, my God, he's horrible, this and that. In that situation, you can't take the sack, right? Game's over if you take the sack. Now, he's trying to throw the ball away.
Yeah.
And he
waited too long.
Yeah, waited too long. It didn't get there. And even at that point, I thought there was a chance that Logan Thomas was going to catch that ball, but Isaiah Simmons was just like a hawk and just snatched it out the air. But that's a tough situation right there. You know what I'm saying? Because of the game, situation itself. You can't take a sack. You're out of timeouts. And that was that whole series of events that went down like that is we had one penalty, bro. One penalty.
Yeah.
5 yards. And it was the Charles Leno false start on that 2-minute, drill drive.
Yep.
Which forced us to take the timeout because of the 10-second runoff rule. And then the next play, Sam Howell has to throw the ball. He can't take the sack.
I gotta highlight this comment. This is good. This man fumbling dishes down the stairs while trying to explain this hell. So look, the first interception was the Nick McLeod one, right in my end zone. It reminded me of the Darius Slayton play. I felt like I was having an epiphany, bro. Like the ball's in the air, and I'm like, oh, this looks like it's on target. It's not going to be overthrown. And then it kind of leaned to the outside because Sam Howell had some pressure on him. The third interception, it was a horrible decision because, one, he held on. It was second or third down. I think it was second down.
I think it was third down.
I got the numbers right here, so let me just double check. It was oh damn. Yeah, the third interception's awful, bro. It was on first down. So when you don't see that, you gotta sail that ball out of bounds. He instead kind of tried to hold it for a little bit longer and wait because he's trying to make the play. And then by the time he tried to throw it out, he kind of got hit a little bit, and the ball ended up going a little bit shorter than he wanted it to go. And I'll tell you this, he was not trying to completely throw it away. He was trying to do one of them throwaways that, like, only your guy will get a hand on the ball.
Yeah,
he tried
Logan
to put
Thomas
it high
was there, and that's why I said that. It's like the part of me thought for a second, I was like, oh, is Logan Thomas going to catch that? But because he got hit and it was just a duck, it ended up being a decision. But, you know, people are like, it's already like, okay, Sam's not the guy. We're going to have to draft a quarterback first round after that. Like, it's everything else that he has done in the end of games has completely gone out the window. But that series of events that led to that interception is really just costly. Like, you can't have a penalty on a 2-minute drive, right? First and foremost, like that. And so you have the penalty. Now you're forced to use a timeout. You have no more timeouts now because of that 10-second runoff. And so you can't take the sack or else the game's over. It just, you know what I'm saying? It didn't work out. But to me, the worst turn.
That's the thing, though, that he could have took a sack.
No, if you take a sack there, game's over.
It's first down.
20 seconds left on the clock, no timeouts.
You don't want to take a sack there, but an interception absolutely ends the game.
Oh, yeah. I don't think you want an interception either. But, I mean, a sack there, and the game is basically ends on a sack there, too, with the amount of time and no timeouts.
Yeah, I mean, it could have. I think you could have rushed up to the ball. Y'all called a timeout with 29 seconds left.
Yeah, because we had to, because the penalty before, it would have ran 10 seconds off with a 10-second runoff rule.
Yeah, so you got 29 seconds when you snap the ball on 1st and 15. These things got to be going through the quarterback's mind. And you know, I've talked about this before. Like Sam Howell, he's learning on the job, and I don't think he's doing a bad job at all. I think he's actually playing some really good football. Every 2-minute drill is not going to end with Sam Howell throwing a 3rd and 10 to Dyami Brown and getting the ball in the end zone. It's just not going to happen like that, right? But this one, you saw a couple of lapses late in the game, and you guys squandered this game away way before that.
Way before that. To me, the biggest turnover of the game was a Chris Rodriguez fumble because we were driving, we were in their territory.
Yeah,
that would have changed. That would have changed the entire, momentum of the game. We would have taken the lead. So, like, that to me was the worst fumble. But I mean, after you started,
that was when I was getting extremely worried because we had a 2-point lead at that point, right? I was like, yo, if Washington can score on this drive, we're cooked because our offense had a couple of lulls there. They weren't scoring as much during that point in the game.
It was at that point though. You're already 3. I mean, bro, when you fumbled the opening kickoff, I mean, in the second half, it's just like that's at that point you're just laughing pretty much at that point. Like it was bad and it hurts. Big shout out to Brother L with a $1.99 super chat. Says, Beard, you giving Awthentik flowers? Yes. Listen, a lot of the things I talked about, okay. I don't know how to give flowers and give my team non-flowers, too.
He's trying to give himself flowers. You see how he did that? He's like, so a lot of the things that I was saying happened.
Yeah. I'm tired. I had to stop. But, like, what did I talk about? I talked about Kayvon Thibodeau, right?
Oh, yeah?
I talked about Kayvon Thibodeau. And
yeah. As you should have been talking about Kayvon Thibodeau.
He dominates us.
He's a dog. Your boy Charles Leno had no chance all day long.
He thanked him.
No chance.
He thanked him. He said, what are you thanking me for? Because for the 10 sacks I'm about to get.
Yeah. You know how stupid he probably felt when he was like, for what? And then when Kayvon said that, he's probably like, what the hell did I can't believe I fell for that dumb. Yeah, that was wild. Kayvon dominated him all game, bro. He could. The only thing that y'all had to nullify Kayvon Thibodeau was Sam Howell getting rid of the ball fast.
Yeah. So it was a mess, bro. It was just a mess.
So give me my flowers.
Congratulations, Awthentik and the New York Football Giants. I'm wearing the shirt. You guys, here's your flowers. You guys have won the game.
I pray to God I don't ever got wearing no Washington Commanders gear on this. I'm never making one of those bets. I'm just letting you know.
I don't even remember making the bet, but we're going to ride with it for sure.
Chris P's got to remind me what happened.
It was a disaster. We made mistakes. Third downs, we were supposed to be better
Let's get this before you dive into your bag. And
Crypto moves with the $4.
I do want to go over the roadmap real quick.
Okay.
The beard trying to get to where we going, yo. I got 1 foot out the car still. He trying to get to where we going.
Shout out to Crypto Moves with the $4.20 super chat. Says Dable Kafka play call finally helps the quarterback and O-line. There was some good play calling in that game.
Very
for
creative
sure.
in this one. Wide receivers was running wide open in this game. I was like, hit him, he's wide open. And DeVito doing what he does.
Benjamin St. Juice was dropping some bars about Jack Del Rio and this defense after that game.
What was he saying?
He was saying that basically and he did it very politically correct. But basically, he said Jack Del Rio is making this defense way harder than it has to be. He's like, we're playing man, but we're passing off players to another player, and it's like it's way complicated, and that's why sometimes people get open. Like basically, it's just it was a very.
I don't like that on both ends of the spectrum. I don't like that. Like, because for one, if you're an NFL DB and you're complaining about passing off coverage, bro, come on. Like the best of the best secondaries, that's what they do. They kind of have like that sixth sense with each other to be like, yeah, he coming your way. You take that. I'm gonna switch off here. And then also kind of like, it was the PC way to do it, but you still throwing your coach under the bus.
Under the bus. He was like, we should just be playing man. I don't understand why we have to play man and then not play man halfway through a play. Like, why didn't they just let us play man? Basically is what he's saying,
Yeah,
so
I want to make this shit real basic.
Yeah. Big shout out to Crypto Moves. The offensive play calling for the Giants
we got a couple of these before you
I
get
know.
your bag. Shout out
this.
to the gang, man. We definitely appreciate y'all supporting the channel in spite of the Beard's L that he had to take with his Washington Commanders here.
Big shout out to Independent Outsider for the $2 super chat. Says, glad that Washington fan had bad beer can aim on Simmons. I saw it come in on the TV when it happened.
Isaiah was like running across the goal line, and then he like turned around and did like the whole splash, lay down, and as soon as he hit the ground, the beer can hit the ground like right next to him, man. It definitely a good thing. I don't know if we could call that bad aim. It depends where he threw it from. It's a pretty good throw.
Yeah, it's not easy to throw a beer can. Empty one at that, halfway empty.
We don't know. We don't know the how much volume was filled in that beer can. Empty one. No one's making that thing onto the field. You got to have a little something in there.
Aerodynamics.
Facts.
Big shout out to Ronnie Rivers with the $9.99 says super chat. Says, just at love you guys. Happy Thanksgiving. There is always end next year's Beard. 6 turnovers? Really? Listen, 96.
Really?
I was like, it felt like they were going to turn the ball over every time they got the ball.
That sounds like something that your mom would say. I can hear my Dukes right now. Like, 6 turnovers? Really? Straight up. Shout out Ronnie Rivers, yo. Appreciate you supporting the channel, fam.
It.
We got my guy.
Big shout out to Tuto with a $4.99 super chat. Says, mad salutes and respect to Awthentik and The Beard, #1 and all diehard Giants fans in America. Massive W against Washies, and Spike don't care, and we say forget about it. Oh, I'm sure Tuto and Tommy. We should just call him Tommy Tuto. Okay, the way he's running down the sidelines like this with the chicken parm getting delivered to the locker. We're not even gonna talk about the no hot showers. Like,
yeah, that was terrible.
We're right back at Dan Snyder. 6 turnovers and no hot showers.
At least it wasn't sewage, right? At least it wasn't sewage dripping down on the fans.
True.
We can say that. But shout out to Tuto. Tuto left a bar on one of our videos, man. I can't remember the quote, man, but I was saying it to somebody. It was such a damn good quote. It was about like, you win a battle with the preparation that you put in before the battle. Like, you don't win it on the battlefield. You win it in the grinding room. You know what I'm saying? So big shout out to Tuto, man. We appreciate Tuto supporting the channel. We got one more from the homie Zach G in the building.
Big shout out to Zach G for the $2 super chat. Says, Tommy Touchdowns should be DeVito's nickname.
I like Tommy Touchdowns is kind of tight. You better be throwing some touchdowns, though. You start throwing some interceptions, Tommy, we're going to have some real trouble with you. We can't anoint the nickname too quickly. We
saw what happened with the dimes.
Yeah, we sure did.
Listen, though. Nothing made me happier than to see the Tommy DeVito multiple touchdowns in back-to-back games.
I bet that made you feel great about it, because Daniel Jones has owned y'all. And, that is a, negative mark on the Daniel Jones tally up sheet there one time because DeVito went out here and he handled business, man. But y'all looked kind of crazy. We going over this roadmap one time?
Yeah, listen, the car didn't even start, bro. But yeah, let's go ahead and go over the roadmap.
This the joint where you gotta call somebody up and be like, "Yo, we not going no more, man. I locked the keys in the car, fam."
Yeah, you get on the freeway. What? No, turn right. Get out of the lane. No. Okay, get the procedure. Just get out the lane.
There's some funniness to this roadmap though. For those of you that missed it last episode, well, we designated the directorial debut of the Waze roadmap to victory for the Washington Commanders against the New York Football Giants. I said, man, it would be really funny. The one thing the hit, because Awthentik said, ain't no way.
That's the one that hit.
Washington doubles the New York Giants in sacks.
Oh, y'all sure did. God damn. Did y'all double us up, man? God damn.
More than doubled you up.
Dang. So what did we have? We had 2 from Kayvon Thibodeau.
You had 4 sacks.
4 total, and y'all had 9.
God
damn.
How crazy is that, though?
Yeah, that is crazy.
Okay, so, ladies and gentlemen, the reason why I said...
Let me give you one of those for those.
The reason why I said the car didn't start and Awthentik said the keys got locked in the car was because the first stop on the roadmap was to win the turnover battle. Can I get 6 of those?
Is that enough?
Welcome to the Awthentik and The Beard Light Show rave. No, yeah, so we definitely didn't win the turnover battle. We lost that one pretty bad. 6-0 was the turnover differential in this game. And that was the thing, too, is like, I was saying it all game. I'm like, bro, all these sacks are good, but damn, can y'all, like, force a fumble or something? Like, can I get a tip interception?
That's a good point. The
like,
kid took care of the ball while he was getting hit in the pocket a lot.
Yeah, so that was the next thing. Double the Giants in sacks, which we managed to do, which is kind of crazy to think about. 9-4. Nobody thought that was possible. Next up, 50% plus in third down conversion percentage. Big fat no. 5 of 13. Got close, but almost only counts in horseshoes and hand grenades.
Big facts.
Another one that hit. That was shockingly surprising. RTDB. All I wanted was 100 rushing yards. We ran for 174 yards in this game. The most by far all year long.
I didn't talk about that enough. Our New York Giants defense got to find a way to fix this rush defense.
And let's talk about Saquon Barkley.
Had a pretty good game, didn't he?
I said, hey, you got to hold Saquon under 100 total yards. My guy went off 140 total yards. Two touchdowns.
Did he have that much? Yeah, he had the 2 touchdowns in the receiving game. I remember that.
I'm in the middle of the game. I'm tweeting. I'm like, they have one guy. That's all you got to do. One guy. And Jamin Davis cannot guard a wheel route for the life of him.
What a throw, though. My God.
Oh, yeah. And a great catch. And the first Saquon pass reception was a hell of a catch on the sideline. My God.
Are you talking about the wheel route, or are you talking about the little flat route?
The flat route. The wheel route was for the touchdown, right? Or was the flat route? The wheel route was the touchdown.
Touchdowns.
Yeah.
The wheel route was the first one, I thought, and then the flat route was the second one, I thought.
Well, not a touchdown, but he had his first catch of the game was like a 26-yarder down the sideline. Yeah, that was a great catch.
Where he climbed the ladder to go get it. That was a good one. You know, the wheel route where he threw it to him and it hit him on the shoulder, that you couldn't hand the ball off better than that. Like, Tommy DeVito put that ball in really the only place where you could get it, because Saquon's being pinched towards the sidelines, so if you sail that out of bounds, you're giving your guy not any chance to make that catch. And Saquon just pinned it right there. Just a great catch, great throw, man. I love seeing stuff like that.
The thing I wanted to point out after talking about Saquon is what Stephen Art's talking about. I mean, Saquon had 0 yards with first half rushing.
Yeah.
But somehow managed to average like 10 yards a carry in the second half.
So I got this one from Bobby when I was watching Talking Giants. In the last 2 games, Saquon Barkley has 0 yards in the first half. He actually has -1 yards in the first half on 13 carries. In the second half, he has 14 carries for 146 yards. So he had all his 83 rushing yards came in the second half of that game. I mean, that's commitment to the running game, man. Commitment to your identity. I love that.
Yeah. And one of the other big things that I talked about, obviously, going into this game was, and I talk about it every game, every week, every year with Jack Del Rio, it's the big plays. Do you know how many 20-plus yard plays the New York Giants had in this game? They're the worst in the league at these type of plays.
Yeah, we've been bad at this. But y'all are probably the worst defensively at this, too.
Oh, for sure.
I'm going to say 12.
8 yards, 8 plays of 20 or more yards in this game. To Tommy DeVito. So, listen, it all went bad. It went bad from the beginning.
Tommy DeVito.
It all went bad from the beginning. And we still had a chance to win. And Chris Rodriguez fumble was like, that was when I was like, it's over. And then like Sam Howell does his thing, he leads a touchdown drive and, we're back in the game. We stop you guys. We get the ball back. I'm like 2-minute drill. Here we go. We might be cooking. And then, Sam Howell throws an ill-advised interception while trying to throw the ball away.
Don't forget he had the interception after the Rodriguez fumble as well, too.
Yeah, but that was a punt.
Sure. If you want to, now you can't say, well, if you take away the 4 interceptions against the Buffalo Bills.
Oh, no, you can't say that.
Sam Howell
that excuse is out the window.
That's gone
well, if
you take away the 4 versus the Bills, listen, if you take away all the interceptions versus the New York
Bills
teams.
And the Giants, damn, listen, hey, we're cooking. We're MVP talk at that point.
Right.
But
all
no,
right, let's get into a serious conversation here real quick before we shift out of this game. I don't want to keep the people here too long, so we're going to spend about a good 15 more minutes on this, right?
Yeah.
Got a question for you. Are the Washington Commanders the worst team in the division?
No.
I mean, you guys got swept by the team that is the worst team in the division record-wise.
Yeah. We're not far from you guys, but I think we have more talent than you guys do, but
talent doesn't mean that has nothing to do with the question.
Okay.
There are a lot of teams that have talent. There are plenty of teams that have more talent than the Houston Texans, but aren't as good of a team. Y'all being one of them.
Good point. I'm going to stick with my answer. I'm going to say no. We're not the worst team in the division.
Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and say Commanders are the worst team in the division. Not only that, I'm going to double down. At the end of the year, y'all are going to have a higher draft pick than us. After all this tank talk and all this stuff that went down for the New York Giants.
How angry would that
before
make
week
Giants
10
fans?
It's going to make a lot. Man, dude, like you should have seen the emotions in the spaces this past weekend, bro. Like you would just be like, dog, y'all need mommy right now. The way people were complaining on these spaces. Y'all need mommy, bro. Like, that's why I put out that tweet that was like, this meaningless win got y'all so angry. And on top of that, retweeted it, quote tweeted it, and said, this meaningless win got y'all so happy. This should not take you in either direction too crazy. For me, I'm going to get reeled in if the Giants can win 3 or 4 straight. If they can go out here and beat the Patriots, the Packers, the Saints, I might get reeled in, bro. Don't forget I called 8-9. The only game that I've gotten wrong so far, truly wrong, was that Raiders game. So if the Giants can find a way to, like, get a, surprise victory, as my homie Entertainer always says. He every time Entertainer picks the schedule at the beginning of the year, he'll do a surprise loss and a surprise victory. And I kind of like the way that balances out. But for me, I pick them straight up. But we're going to need some faith from Entertainer and his theory. We need a surprise win. And if that happens, if we can win 3 straight, get a surprise win, I might get reeled in towards the end of the season, because I want to see my team in the playoffs by any means necessary.
Yeah.
But I think y'all are the worst team in the division. I think that y'all weapons are overhyped. I think that Terry McLaurin is not the kind of wide receiver 1 that can do it without a wide receiver 1B for real. He's not getting in the end zone. His numbers look, it's been 1 touchdown since week 2.
I don't know if you saw this. I put it in the chat during the Giant overreaction. It's been 1 whole calendar year since he's had a 100-yard game.
You know what? Where I'll give him the benefit of the doubt is he had like 92 versus the Eagles. So he was close.
Yeah.
Right? But at the same time, I just think that you included the overinflation of Jahan Dotson, who I love that kid. I wanted us to draft him. I think he's the same draft as Kadarius Toney, I believe, 2021. Yes. I really wanted that kid. His highlight tape from Penn State was amazing. But I think that he's not the guy that's going to take y'all offense to the next level. This whole we're hitting 9 receivers, 9 pass catchers, 10 pass catchers, 11 pass catchers every game, to me just screams you don't have the guys. Jahan Dotson, what did he do in this game? He had the touchdown and then maybe like a few receptions.
Yeah.
Last week had no receptions.
Yeah.
I think you guys need another new weapon out there. I like Brown. All those wide receivers, Diami Brown, Jahan Dotson, Byron Pringle, they all could benefit from having another guy over there in the wide receiver department or possibly a tight end. Ben Ball, you was telling me y'all might try and draft a tight end maybe 2nd or 3rd round. And I'm like, I don't know if you could spend that kind of capital there when your offensive line is in the position that yours is in.
A lot of people want
us
to pick Brock Bowers with our first pick.
I mean, listen, I'm not going to rule out that the Washington Commanders, depending on the pick, if y'all get a top 5 pick,
you have to consider quarterback, right?
You got to consider quarterback.
I mean, as much as, I love Sam Howell, and I think Sam Howell is the guy. But I also think that it would be crazy to not think that that you do not at least do your proper evaluation as far as
I'd say
goes.
It would be like a 15% chance maybe that you guys could draft a quarterback. But I ultimately think if they believe in Sam Howell, which I do think Sam Howell has some high-end characteristics, but when I'm looking at him, I don't see the elite quality or the elite traits. That's the one thing that bothers me. Like, he makes some big-time, big boy NFL throws, but then everything else around that, I'm not sure if he really has that in his arsenal. So the draft is going to be really interesting. I think if y'all get a top 15 pick, it'll make things easier on y'all with the direction of the franchise, I think. And then
and
if the coach makes it throughout the season is something too.
You also have to think about like what direction the franchise goes as a whole. Like, what GM we bring in here, that GM's going to pick a coach, and then that coach has to, if it's not Bieniemy, which has been my prediction since preseason, that Rivera was going to step down no matter what, and Eric Bieniemy would be the next head coach. So we're just kind of waiting that whole scenario to see how that scenario plays out before even think about the direction of the quarterback. You know what I'm saying? But I think moving forward now, obviously, it's all about the rest of the season is all about Sam Howell's progression. I think that's the
and I think you guys kind of know what you got in him so far. He's stable enough. He's stable enough. Like I said last week,
like
he just
to see
has
him
to find
cut
a way
down
to get rid of the one turnover a game.
Yeah, you got to.
You cannot be an NFL quarterback and be a franchise guy who's turning the ball over once a game. Sean Jackson said, "Authentic. I'm a New York Giants fan who now lives in Delaware. I think you're a native New Yorker who lives in D.C. area. Who suffers more, you or me?" Eagles fans torture. Being around that many Eagles fans must be tough. I'm not a native New Yorker though. I'm born and raised in the Washington D.C. area in the DMV. It's not that bad out here for me because we've owned Washington for so long. So they're fans. And a lot of Washington fans, like the OGs, the Chocolate City for real OGs out here, they clocked out, man. They really don't even tune into football that much no more. So it's a lot of the youth, and I don't really deal with too many of them, outside the recording studio working with some young artists. So I'm going to go ahead and get at the you. I'm going to say you got it worse than I do. Shout out to Sean for pulling up, man, and rocking out with us today, though, man. That's definitely a vibe. So anything else left on this, man? You say y'all aren't the worst team in the division. I'm going to revisit this before week 18 is over, for sure. I'm saying y'all are the worst team in the division because y'all just lost 2 times to the worst team in the division without their starting quarterback. I mean, that says a lot.
It does. Listen. There's absolutely no rebuttal I have for you. I'd be, brother L. I'd be carrying the dishes down the stairs.
Fumbling dishes trying to explain that L.
I'm just gonna go with no. That's all I got for you.
Gut feeling. Gregory said Washington should have went after Lamar Jackson. But like a porn star, they blew it. Dropping bars out here, my man Gregory, man. I definitely feel you on that. All right, let's get off into this last game, man. This was a good one, man. The Dallas Cowboys, they traveled to Carolina to take on the Panthers in a very expected win, and that's exactly what the Dallas Cowboys went out there and did. Kayvon Thibodeau, man. Bravo, Kayvon. Bravo. You a guy, man. You definitely a guy, man. You silenced all that noise. Who was that? That was my man MC Shan. Kill that noise. Tried to follow up his diss to KRS-One. Kill That Noise didn't really work out that well. Not a lot of people remember that record, but it was kind of like a diss that kind of went under the radar one time. But shout out MC Shan one time. So the Dallas Cowboys, man, they improved to 7-3. Beard, they're 1 win away from your season projection that you had them at 8-9. They're sitting at 7-3 here. The Panthers fall to 1-9. Cowboys were favored by 10.5, and they indeed covered that 10.5. They won this game 33-10. It was a 17-3 lead at the half with 2 touchdown passes from Dak Prescott. Panthers started the second half with a drive that ended with a touchdown, cut the lead to 17-10. I know Dallas Cowboys fans was like, what the hell is going on? Is this Arizona Cardinals, the sequel right here? And Tony Pollard answered with a touchdown run. It was his first touchdown run since week 1 to put the Cowboys up 24-10. Pollard had 80 scrimmage yards on the day to a Panthers defense that was allowing 132 rushing yards per game. I want to see a little bit better out of Tony Pollard. We gonna get there for sure when we talk about that. Next possession for the Panthers, Bryce Young was picked off by Deron Bland. Took it all the way to the house to put the score to 30-10. I think the kicker missed the extra point, and this kicker has been like on point all year long. This dude has started his career without a miss. Like, he was just completely just killing it. I think he might have missed the extra point. I didn't see if they went for 2. I didn't have my eyes on this game because I was at the game. I had to go back and look at it. This was Deron Bland's 4th interception return for a touchdown, tied the single season record. Tied for the most by a player in his first 2 career seasons in NFL history. Cowboys tacked on a field goal after a Bryce Young fumble on a little scramble and ended up winning this game 33-10. This is now the Panthers' 6th straight losing season since David Tepper purchased the team in 2018. That's pretty pathetic. I think that they should not have moved on from their interim head coach from last year because Frank Wright seems to be struggling right now. I think that was Steve Wilkes. And Dallas is now 11-3 against the Panthers in regular season games. The Cowboys now lead the NFL with 15 games with at least 40 points since your boy Mike McCarthy arrived in 2020. 4 of them have come this season in his first season as the play caller. I listened to a lot of people on the YouTubes and on the ESPNs and FS1s today, and a lot of people were pretty much saying this shift to Mike McCarthy calling plays has been a blessing in disguise for the Dallas Cowboys. Now, Dak Prescott, let me pull up his numbers one time on the screen here so the people can see. He was 25 of 38 for just 189 yards. And it seems to be when the Cowboys coast to victories against these mediocre teams.
It's a game like this from Dak.
It's a game like this for Dak Prescott. Under 200 yards, a clean day, no interceptions and whatnot. The QBR was 82.9, so very high efficient football from Dak Prescott. That makes 4 games in a row with multiple passing touchdowns for Dak Prescott. I know Daniel Jones looking at Dak Prescott like, bruh, what's going on here? Since losing, and these are my beautiful flowers for all my Dallas Cowboys homeboys out there in the chat.
I signed that card too, just for all the Dallas Cowboys fans.
Oh, you signed this card?
I signed the card and the flowers.
Oh, yeah. That's a cheap move right there. The dude who don't get a gift for the kid on his birthday. Like, let me see that card. Yeah, happy birthday, kid. That's the beard right there. So, 4 games in a row, multiple passing touchdowns for Dak Prescott. Since losing to San Francisco in his last 5 weeks, Dak Prescott, Gregory brought this to my attention last week, that Dak Prescott's been the hottest quarterback for the previous 4 weeks. He's got 14 touchdowns to just 2 interceptions in the last 5 weeks. Get this. He's gone 2 straight games without being sacked. Back-to-back games now for Dak Prescott without being sacked. In a game here where CeeDee Lamb was extremely quiet. 6 receptions.
Touchdown, though.
He did have a touchdown, but 6 receptions for 38 yards that's quiet for a guy of CeeDee Lamb's caliber. I'm not talking about your boy Terry McLaurin. I'm talking about CeeDee Lamb. I'm giving flowers to the Dallas Cowboys right here one time. Okay? But CeeDee Lamb did get to touch a little bit of history here. CeeDee Lamb became the first player in Cowboys history to have 3 seasons with 1,000 or more receiving yards in his first 4 seasons. And they've had some pretty damn good wide receivers over there. Dez Bryant, my man Michael Irvin, the OG. They had a couple of guys over there. So CeeDee Lamb out here playing some good football. The Panthers, on the other hand, not playing good football.
No, not playing good football either.
The Panthers had just 77 passing yards on the day. They averaged 3.2 yards per play, okay? And the Cowboys got to Bryce Young 7 times in this game. Micah Parsons tied his career high with 2.5 sacks. Parsons has 11 career games now with at least 2 sacks, and he surpassed Dwight Freeney for the 5th most such games by a player in his first 3 NFL seasons since 1982. Only Reggie White, Richard Dent, and Sean Merriman and Alden Smith have more in this amount of games than Micah Parsons. So this kid is balling. There was one bright spot for the Carolina Panthers, and it was Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen had 8 receptions for 74 yards. Every other pass catcher on that team had 2 receptions or less. Adam Thielen, and I wouldn't have said this in the offseason, I wouldn't have minded bringing in Adam Thielen to the New York Giants, man. This dude has been playing really good football. He now is one of 6 players to have at least 5 games with 8 or more receptions this season. That is great company to be in. 5 or more receptions in 9 straight games. It's the longest active streak of his entire career. The Cowboys completely dominated. First downs, third down, total yards, passing yards, penalties. That's for you, DeBeard.
I have it written down here.
Just 5 penalties for the Cowboys.
Yep. 0
they won
turnovers
the turnover battle.
and 5 penalties, so they did not beat themselves. Congratulations.
I didn't think they beat themselves in that last game. I made my case for it, too. They also won the time of possession. What did you see in this game? I know I came with a big bouquet of flowers here. Did you pick some dandelions from the neighbor's yard?
No, but I signed the card. Brother L said you got one job. Go to the store and get your own damn card. No, listen. The number that stood out to me the most was the Carolina 3.2 yards per play. I had that written down like, what is going on here? Listen, I said to Dallas, you need to just take care of business. Don't beat yourself. You talked about it. Only 5 penalties for 45 yards, 0 turnovers. The red zone is a little one of the other areas that we talked about in previous games for Dallas this season where they've kind of struggled. They were 2 for 4 in the red zone again. So you would like to see that. Tony Pollard was so damn close to that touchdown too on that run. But DaRon Bland, I mean, Jesus, Josephine and Mary, the guy is just, and he was playing like he was behind Diggs, right? Like he wasn't even like on the opposite side, right?
Because they got Stephon Gilmore.
Yeah.
Can I get some flowers on that? Because when DaRon Bland got his second, I started talking about that stat.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And
I thought it was like
he got the 3. I was like, I'm waiting on this 4th one. You think he's gonna break the record? You think he'll get 5? You think get 5 pick sixes in 1 year with 6 games left?
He might get 2 on Thanksgiving.
Your boy Sam Howell. Now Sam Howell throwing picks, huh?
I mean, I'm not blaming Sam. I'm just saying, like it's the way things are going. But no, I do. I think he breaks that record. Listen, when you're like that, it's like being at a casino and just being on a heater. You know what I'm saying? Like his instincts are on a different level. They're obviously putting him in a good position. And when your defensive line is getting the pressure that they're getting, like it's a recipe for it. And like he obviously has the ball skills to do it. So yeah.
In the one on Bryce Young here on Sunday, he was almost like out of position on the receiver's hip. And when the ball was thrown, that makeup speed, man, just like got in front, dove for the interception, had the whereabouts to get up and then take it into the end. Man, that kid, I love seeing players get an opportunity and pounce on it like that. I love that. Like, this is a guy that no one really even knew this dude. If you weren't a Dallas Cowboys fan, you didn't know about DaRon Bland entering the year.
Kai says he led the team with 5 interceptions last year.
It's crazy. It's really ridiculous. So if Kai can fill me in on this, where was DaRon Bland because last year they didn't have Stephon Gilmore, so he was the
backup nickel corner last year.
And he got 5 picks as a backup nickel.
Yeah,
that's like Cordero Flott having 5 interceptions last year. That's crazy. That's crazy.
It is. So like, big shout out to him, man. I think he's an exciting guy to watch play football. Obviously, and then the Carolina Panthers just dropped the ball on so many occasions here. Like you cannot kick the ball out of bounds to a team like Dallas. Like when you're in the position that you're in, where it's kind of like a 1-score game, you kick the ball out of bounds. You're giving Dallas short field, and then they just completely took advantage of that. And then they had after that happened, Dallas had the ball, and we talked about Carolina's third down defense going into this game. 2 third-down penalties on that drive after kicking the ball out of bounds. So one was like a 3rd and 15. It gave Dallas 2 first downs on that drive. Dallas scores. Next thing you know, interception, touchdown, fumble, field goal, and you're going home with a loss of 31-10. Like that I think should be one of the scariest things about Dallas. They have the ability to turn it up defensively and offensively and produce points because of that combination of their defense and their offense at a high level and a fast speed. So that is something that they're going to have to use, I would imagine, down the stretch here when they get into the playoffs, because let's be honest. I mean, they're not going to finish at the record I said they were. So, but they're going to make the playoffs. If they don't, then it would be like a colossal fail. So that is something that I think that teams who are going to be playing Dallas should be aware of, because like it reminds me of kind of like the Eagles, because the Eagles could do that too, but I still think Dallas's defense has the ability to produce points more so than any other defense in the National Football League. So
most definitely. Now, remember when you were talking about the red zone failures from the Dallas Cowboys a couple of weeks back? I really wanted to dig into their attempts, because remember the Buffalo Bills were a team that their red zone efficiency just a year ago was down towards the bottom of the league, but their attempts were way up in the top 10 in the NFL. The Cowboys, I just looked it up just now, their red zone percentage is right around 50% on the year. They're just above 50% on the year, sitting at 18th in the NFL. They're number 1 in the entire league in red zone attempts. Yeah. So you have to have one or the other. If you're not efficient in the red zone, which I think 50% is like efficient enough, but 18th is not great in the NFL. But being that they're maximizing their attempts at number 1 in the NFL, 4.3 red zone attempts per game for the Dallas Cowboys, I think that is a winning formula.
But doesn't that bother you though? That they're taking that many attempts in the red zone and not succeeding?
No, it doesn't bother me at all, because if they were at the bottom of the league, it would bother me. They're at the bottom, they're in the middle. They're in the middle of the pack right there around 18. If you're not going to be efficient, then you better get down there a lot. And it kind of talks about the Mike McCarthy points per game during his era with the Dallas Cowboys. They're still one of the most highest scoring teams in the NFL. That's all that matters. You want to score every time you get in the red zone, but the more attempts that you get, it actually would warrant your percentage to go down. Think about a passer. If you start off a game and you go 9 for 10, it's easy to be 90% completion percentage. Yeah. Throw 30 of them and see if you can be at 90%. Yeah. So same thing goes for the Cowboys. They're maximizing the attempts, getting into the red zone. I'm not saying that just over 50%. They were at 50. Let me see, 18th. They were at 51.1%. This season. It's not fantastic, but half the time you get down there, you're scoring, and you're getting down there four times a game. It's guaranteeing you 14 points.
Yeah,
and then we're not calculating the times that they score outside of the red zone.
Makes sense. For me, it's just like I think it's crazy because I'm playing both sides here, where like I'm using the analytical numbers of the red zone percentage, right? But then I'm saying in the other side of it, obviously devil's advocate wise, is that you should be scoring. I don't know. It's tough to really.
I'll give you another good example from last year. The New York Giants were 31st in red zone attempts. In red zone efficiency, we were top 10. We don't score points. We don't get down there enough to be able to win games. I forget our points per game last year. I think it was 17 maybe. Maybe it was right around 20, actually. I think it was right around 20. That's not going to win you a lot of games. I much prefer the formula of a Buffalo Bills, Dallas Cowboys maximizing the attempts. If you can get the best of both worlds, like the Baltimore Ravens are top 5 in both efficiency and in attempts. That's a win-win situation for you right there. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I see Marquez Hardison says it too. It's the law of averages.
Yeah.
The more you get there, the
more
lower
times
that your output might
attempts. Be. Yeah, makes sense.
Yep. So I think that is a good one. But the Dallas Cowboys played a really good game. But here's the thing, and I'm gonna propose this question. It's very similar to a question that we had a couple of weeks back here. Are the Cowboys ready to challenge the Eagles for the number 1 spot in the NFC East? You want me to start? You're gonna say no.
No.
I'm gonna say that the test is about to come here in a couple of weeks. They got to go out there and handle business against Washington, right? I almost want to look at both of these teams' schedules to compare just a little bit here. But I know the Dallas Cowboys have a tough stretch towards the end of the year here where they got to see the Lions and the Dolphins. So they got the Commanders, and then their next stretch is going to go Seahawks, Eagles, Bills, Dolphins, Lions, and then against y'all again. That is 5 losable games right there. I think we're going to find out who the Dallas Cowboys really are. Absolutely. And just to compare to the Eagles, let's see what the Eagles got going on for the next couple of games as well. because I do think that the schedule is going to favor the Eagles a bit more. They played the New York Giants twice. I know that. So that's two pretty much dubs you could look at. So they have the Bills, the Niners, that Eagles-Cowboys game on December 10th. It's a night game, too, at 8:20. That's going to be a fantastic matchup. Cowboys looking for revenge at home. But then they play the Seahawks. Their schedules are relatively similar.
Same, yeah.
So they play the Seahawks, they play the Eagles, or they play the Cowboys, vice versa. They play the Niners, they play the Bills, and then they play the Giants, and then they got the Cardinals, and then they got the Giants again. So they have 3 wins, book 3 wins for the Eagles right there at the end. But then they have 4 losable games, I'll call it, against the Bills, the Niners, the Cowboys, and the Seahawks.
The only difference is that the Eagles, I feel like, have been tested not a lot more, but just a little bit more than Dallas has been tested.
For sure. Yeah. For sure. Eagles already beat the Dolphins already this year, right?
Yep.
Yeah, so you see in the streak against teams with winning records, the Eagles have definitely been able to handle business. But that game against the Cowboys where they faced off the first time this year, the first time we got to see Dak Prescott versus Jalen Hurts, a lot of the statistics were leaning the Dallas Cowboys' ways, and it came down to that touchdown that got overturned for a turnover on downs for the Dallas Cowboys with their backup tight end. So listen, if you're a Dallas Cowboys fan or you're a Philadelphia Eagles fan, this next stretch is about to be amazing football for y'all. You can all but book that both of those teams are going to be in the playoffs, and now you're just bidding, trying to get to that number 1 seed. I hope that's the case. I really hope that these two teams are like locked in step until they get down to the game, at least where they play each other, because that will make for an interesting, I believe it's a Sunday night matchup between 2 of the best teams in the NFL.
They can flex Monday night games now this season, right? Is that,
I believe so, because they were talking about that with the Green Bay Packers game with the Giants. We're scheduled to play, I believe, Monday night with that game as well.
Yeah, so I think they can flex Monday night games too. So it's going to be interesting.
What game are you thinking about flexing? Like, what makes you say that?
No, because you're talking about that night game, and I'm just like thinking in my head about some of those games that are going to be coming up that those two teams are playing.
Oh,
that
yeah, true.
Eagles-Niners game, Detroit-Dallas game.
Yeah, Detroit-Dallas going to be a good one. Detroit to me is a team that's kind of in that same ballpark as the Dallas Cowboys, where we haven't really seen them dominate any really good teams yet. You saw them go against the Baltimore Ravens, and they really got their socks blown off. And then this past week, they went up against Justin Fields and the Chicago Bears and didn't look good until the fourth quarter. The last 2 drives, down by 2 scores late with just under 3 minutes left in the game, they found a way to win it. So you gotta admire the resiliency of Jared Goff, to be able to go out there and get his team in the end zone. And Jahmyr Gibbs had a fantastic game as well in the second half. I think that's going to be an interesting matchup.
Did Goff throw?
I think he threw 3.
Yeah.
Yeah, what is that? Is that C.J. Stroud? How many did he throw?
Yeah.
I'm not too sure. How many
3.
did he throw? Stroud had 3. Got me 24 fantasy points.
Yeah.
Does that make you feel better about Sam Howell? Is that why you nod your head like that?
Maybe.
That's horrible. Your boy Howell. Howell is not in that conversation with C.J. Stroud.
He's not.
No, sir.
I'm just throwing it out
He's
there.
He's more in the ballpark of Kenny Pickett.
Don't do that.
Yeah.
Don't do that to my guy.
Bro,
Sam Howell's better than Kenny Pickett.
You got Eric Bieniemy over there calling plays for you. This dude had the bum Joe, what was his name? Joe Lombardi over there? Whatever.
Matt Canada.
Matt Canada. Joe Lombardi just as bad, too. He was with the Joe Lombardi was with the Chargers. He was awful. Matt Canada might be worse than Joe Lombardi.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah, man. And your dude's throwing the ball 100 times a game, man. Look, he's Kenny Pickett right now. I don't see what characteristic does Sam Howell have over Kenny Pickett?
Where do I begin?
Yeah, tell me. What is the defining characteristic?
Everything about a quarterback that needs to be done, Sam Howell does better than Kenny Pickett.
I don't know. Does he take care of the ball better than Kenny Pickett?
Yeah. Let's see. We have to look at the law of averages.
Kenny Pickett has 4 interceptions on the year. He has just 6 touchdowns.
It's the law of averages, my guy.
I mean, they've played the same amount of game. That's not the law of averages.
Yeah, well, look at the attempts, though.
I like this. This guy's trying to drag quarterbacks that threw 3 interceptions this week to make him feel better about his guy losing to Tommy DeVito and the New York Giants.
It wouldn't be Awthentik and The Beard without something like that, right?
That is amazing. Well, as far as this question goes, I do think that the Cowboys are ready to challenge the Eagles for the number 1 spot in the NFC East. It's going to be tough for them, though. They got to win some games against some really good opponents. So we'll see. It's going to be a nice little, finish to the marathon here for these two teams that are at the top of the NFC East, man. I just hope my team could be in the conversation. I know we in the tank mode and all that stuff with the New York Giants, but like, I'm just praying we could find a way to win a couple of games straight here, man. And try
don't
to get
give
to my
up
8
on
victories.
the Giants and the Commanders just yet, ladies and gentlemen. We're not mathematically eliminated.
Hey, y'all, I don't know what he talking about with the Commanders right now, because they are cooked. Remember when I asked this one right here? They the worst team in the division, yo.
Bro, I'm like, listen,
it's feeling good.
The way that game was going, and then like they were talking about Thanksgiving, I'm like, we have to go play the Cowboys in Dallas.
Bro, it's 2 days away, man.
4 days. I immediately just had flashes of Dallas Cowboy avatars in my face, like Brother L, Monique, Kai. I was just like, all right, well, listen,
Y'all better go out there and show up. That team that y'all put up against the Eagles earlier this year, that's the team that you need to bring to Jerry World to play against Dallas Cowboys. If y'all go out there and get embarrassed, I really think that's it for Ron Rivera. I think they're going to fire him.
Maybe. I just think they're going to end up riding. I feel like it would be a disservice to Bieniemy to make that like his like audition with the way that defense is put together right now. It just doesn't seem fair.
Y'all got talent. It's just they're not performing. They're not executing. They're not performing. Maybe y'all need to go to man-to-man coverage like St. Juice was talking about every play. That's crazy. That's definitely crazy, man. But we're going to get there, man. We're going to see how things go. I really think that the chips are not going to fall in the Washington Commanders' direction because, like, I just think y'all are the worst team in the division. I thought that at the beginning of the year, and now we're sitting on, like, the Giants' third-string practice squad quarterback going out here and beating y'all convincingly, bro. It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, convincingly is a little bit of a word, but you know what? Big shout out to Two Toe with the $4.99 Super Chat.
We coming back to that.
The Spartans never ask how many are the enemy, but where they are. And he who sweats more in training bleeds less in war.
My man, he who sweats more in training bleeds less in war.
I don't know. That's it's a bar.
Two-toe, that's a bar. That's a bar right there. I need to like put that one up right here. I got a couple little quotes I post around.
That none of those home is where the heart is. Chalkboard paintings in your wall. We need more of these. He who sweats more in training bleeds less in war. And I need it like painted like in blood too.
Nah, I ain't gonna paint it. I ain't painting on the walls or doing nothing like that too. You know what I'm saying? Shout out my homie Real Mace Black though. He was like, "Oh, Saquon not a receiving running back. I want blood." I like that. Because Saquon showed y'all. Boy got hands. Danny was just putting the ball on him a little too hot early in the season. Them late checkdowns where he trying to drill Saquon Barkley with these bullet passes and whatnot, popping up off his hands, causing interceptions for Daniel Jones and whatnot.
Can I ask you a question before we leave?
No, of course not.
Is there people in the Giants community that is like, we got our guy in DeVito? Like, have they anointed him that?
Nah, nobody. I don't think I've seen nobody really anointing him. But people are saying like, we might have a backup. You gotta let it play out, see what he can do. You might not know what you might have someone on the roster and you might be overlooking it.
And we already know how important it is to have a good backup in the NFL.
Yeah, especially with Tyrod Taylor, contract coming to an end as well. So, yeah. I mean, I don't know. Man, I ain't gonna rule the kid out. He played a really good game on Sunday, but you guys are a really bad team. Let's just
worst
call
in
it
the
what
division,
it is.
Apparently.
Listen, man, it's the Carolina Panthers. Then it might be y'all. I don't think y'all better than the Cardinals right now with Kyler Murray. Listen. I wouldn't dish out any pain that I would not speak upon my own team because 3 weeks ago the New York Giants were the worst team in the NFL. That's a fact, right? Right now, Cardinals with Kyler Murray, I think they beat y'all. Chicago Bears, they already beat y'all by 20. New York Giants with Tommy DeVito, they just beat y'all 31 to what? 19?
Kind of.
31 to 19. And I remember this conversation I had. I think it was with Albert Breer on Twitter. And he was telling me about the Denver Broncos game against the Giants 2 years ago. And he was like, it's going to be a blowout. And I was in his comment section like, it ain't going to be no blowout. Nah. He was like, if it's a 2-score win, 2 touchdowns, it's a blowout. It's pretty close to that.
Yeah, almost only counts on horseshoes and hand grenades.
Yeah, that's why we won the game, because we beat y'all by 2 scores. Y'all were almost in the game, and then, we had to handle business. We had to do what we had to do.
I am not fighting my way out of this, apparently.
Who else? What are the other bad teams? Denver Broncos have left the conversation of bad teams in the NFL now.
They're the hottest. They have the longest winning streak in the NFL right now.
That's kind of crazy. That is kind of, was it 5 games?
The Minnesota and Denver in that game against each other were the 2 longest winning streaks in the NFL.
Damn, that's crazy. Vikings were definitely a bad team in the beginning. Chargers were bad. They're sitting at 4-6 now. That's it, bro. Like,
yeah, we're down there now. It's official. We're down there.
Colts, nah, that's wins. They're a bad team with some wins. It's kind of weird.
Yeah.
That's it. Well, I tried to spare you. Shout out to Waterfly one time, man. I told him I wasn't going to go too crazy, and not too many of those, but yeah, this is, there was 2 moments in the Matrix. It was the first time, and Neo was all dodging the bullets, right? And then there was the last time where all the damn bullets hit him, and he was like, "Oh shit, what the hell just happened here?" But then he rose up. That's when he realized he was the one. So maybe there's something bright in y'all future for y'all Washington Commanders fans. We'll see how y'all finish the season. See how we finish the season, man. Any last words for the gang before we get them up out of here?
Big shout out to my guy Chris Peace for the shirt. I appreciate it. Big shout out to all the Dallas Cowboy fans in the chat. Big shout out to all the Giants fans in the chat, and all of my Commanders fans who failed to show up today, left me here fighting this battle by myself. Shout out to all you guys, okay?
I think you did a good job, man. I think you did a good job. You held your own.
But no, big shout out to everybody, man. We appreciate all the love and all the support. It's going to be a good day of Thanksgiving football. I'm excited about that.
I don't know about good day of Thanksgiving football, but it's definitely going to be a good day of Thanksgiving eating for sure, man. Y'all make sure to check what we're doing this week. We definitely going to have a couple of shows for y'all, probably do a vibe on Thursday for sure. I'm going to be on Bleacher Report tomorrow talking about the upcoming game for the New York Giants as well. And then on Sunday, I'll be on Bleacher Report as well. In the morning, we'll be here for the parlay. Man, it's going to be a good Thanksgiving week of football. We appreciate all of you all for gathering here today to watch us dip the casket into the ground for the Washington Commanders. We did that a couple of weeks ago for my New York Giants, but this is Kill Bill. We coming up out this casket right now, dog. I don't know. I'm feeling a little froggy, like the New York Giants might make a little noise. We gonna see, man. We appreciate all of y'all pulling up, tuning into tonight's show, man. This was definitely a vibe. Keep raising that bar, y'all. Keep living those dreams, because the universe flows in Technicolor and surround sound. Rest in peace to the podcast GOAT, Mr. Combat Jack himself. And that's a wrap. Not only for us, for your boy Zach Wilson as well. Y'all be good, man. We will catch y'all on the next episode of Awthentik and The Beard. Peace out, y'all.